This podcast is brought to you by Emote Projects Limited. The podcast is for educational purposes only. Seek professional advice to get specific help for your project. Enjoy this week's show.
Welcome to another episode of An Architect and a DJ Builder podcast. She's an architect.
And he's the DJ.
What do we talk about today?
So first, let's acknowledge the fact that we are not at home.
Yes.
Oh.
This is a new spot, a new venue.
Yes.
And to be honest, it all adds up to what we're talking about today.
Yes. Yeah. And today, because if you noticed, our podcast episode for the previous week didn't go out.
I'm pretty sure no one noticed. But in case you did,
You're pretty sure no one noticed?
I'm pretty sure no one
I don't
really
think
noticed.
that's true. We've
Really?
got people who listen regularly.
Religiously.
Yes,
Okay.
we do.
You noticed.
So you noticed. And it's like things were just going wrong, things just didn't work out. And we thought today, let's pause a little bit and just ask, how are you doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, how are you doing? And that's today is just a little bit of a pause because we can get caught up in the whole thing of constantly working and then when things go wrong, it feels like
Yeah. When things go wrong, because things will go wrong and things do go wrong.
Yeah. And incidentally, what we were supposed to talk about, or what we actually did, we recorded an entire episode, and it was about an experience that I had with a couple who they had hired a builder, and he was basically rogue.
Yeah.
He was basically just trying to
It was
take
what the rogue build. What did we
advantage.
call it? The rogue.
Something about a rogue builder.
Yeah.
So he was basically very arrogant. Didn't want to listen to what the client wanted.
Yes.
Didn't used to follow, like, some areas in the drawings he wasn't following, and then at a certain point he wanted to hold them to ransom, to say
Good.
that you've created these delays,
It's your
you've done
fault.
this,
You have to pay for this.
yes, and
Yeah.
and you have to pay for this. If you didn't do this, then I would have had all this work. And he was basically just very bad character-wise. So the episode was really just talking about that experience and what you could do, because things do go wrong. Unfortunately, the recording disappeared.
Fortunately, the recording disappeared.
Yes, and
Here we
it
are.
was all planned out, and so it's gone into Neverland. But we thought we could.
Yeah.
What's the teaching moment?
Yeah. So all of that led to us being here,
Yes,
and that has led to this particular episode, which I suppose works out in the end. Well, hopefully it works out in the end.
yeah. So I think we had a great episode with Tandiwe,
Yes.
the therapist, and she was talking about managing expectations, because I think there's usually a gap between what you see as the reality of a thing and what it actually turns out to be. And I think with the podcast, there are ideas that we have. Do you remember where we started? Like,
With
how-
which
with our podcast? Like, how did we? Do you remember how we started?
as in the first.
Like the idea to even do a podcast.
Oh man, that seems like a long time ago. Like
Remember
2 or 3 seasons ago.
Remember during COVID when I started talking about, we should do a podcast.
And I was for the idea.
No, you
I said, "Let's
weren't.
do it." I said, "We should." And I wrote down some brilliant ideas. Then we sat down and recorded the first episode in one take.
Totally not true.
Well,
I,
in my head, that's what happened.
I pitched the idea of, we should do a podcast, and because you're good with radio, like you've always, you're good with radio, you love music. We should do something that talks about the differences between the two of us, me,
Our two worlds.
my world, and you and yours, and then this idea for helping individuals who are building their homes came for me for my business. And yeah, I'm not so good, like this whole thing of being
Spot.
on the spot and in the limelight is not very good. So I'm like, oh, can you help me? Remember we talked about it?
And of course, I had a choice. And yeah,
And here we are.
here
And of
we are.
course, if I bring it back to like the gap between what you have in your head
And
and
the reality.
the
of what-
reality,
Yeah.
yeah, it's so totally different. Like when you see like podcasts being done and you're like, oh, I have an idea and I can do this, and it's just totally different. And I think sometimes it's getting in and learning about it. But if we talk about like the home building journey,
Yeah.
it's sort of like a similar thing. So I do have that, that empathy and that of when it just gets hectic because it's a lot.
It is.
Yeah, it's a lot. And yeah, so I was just remembering that, like where we started, and then when we had these issues with the last podcast, and
And the truth is, what happened was, what did you say? What happened to the something happened with the recording.
yes,
So we had to think quickly. What are we going to do?
yeah,
So we needed to re-record.
yeah,
If that's the thing. So we actually planned to do it on a certain day,
yes,
but even on that particular day, something came up.
yes. Our daughter dislocated her knee.
Yeah. So she was like, "No, we can still do it." I said, "You know what? It's not going to happen because there
Yeah,
was need to
let's
go to
sort
the
this
home. Let's try and
out.
just sort this thing out."
Yeah,
So she agreed,
yeah,
and we picked when today
yes,
was today.
yes.
But then even today,
Zesco, fault.
our normal recording space, we couldn't record it because we had power issues.
Yeah,
And so she came up with the idea. Said, "Okay, you know what? Why don't we go to somewhere else?" And I said, "You know what? Let's just accept it. It's not going to happen."
yeah,
But she insisted, and there's a lesson there. So yeah, I will concede that you were right.
yeah.
Yeah, persistence. What's the lesson? Persistence.
Just keep on.
Thinking.
Things will.
Thinking. Well, I don't really like the term thinking outside of the box because it's become like a cliche. But just looking at alternatives.
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
what else can be done? You
Yes.
take a moment, sit back, and say, okay, you know what? This is how it is. Things are not going as the way that they should.
Yeah.
But what can we do
What can
about
we
it?
do? Yeah.
And this is what we're doing about it. That's how come we're here today.
Yeah. Why do you think so like say for instance with the home building journey, I think many times, so yes, there's that thing of yes, I want to do this thing, I want to create the home, and I'm just going to start. Why do you think that sometimes, so I'm speaking from the professional point of view, where you're trying to tell someone, oh, do this and this and this. Why do you think we think that we can still manage to do things even outside of somebody who's gone through the journey before, or where you've got professional advice? We still think that we can do it. And then we end up getting to, well, why do you think it's so difficult to hear that no, you need to look at your situation, let's try and figure it out, because sometimes I think when I have to have those conversations with people, it feels as if you're like bursting dreams, bursting bubbles.
You are. Yeah.
But then why do you think that's so difficult?
It's difficult, and I speak from for myself,
Yeah,
and I'm thinking maybe others, it might apply to others, and maybe others can relate to it.
yeah,
It's a twisted, excuse me, it's a twisted mix of optimism and denial.
yeah,
Yes, that's what it is.
yeah.
Because you're like, I don't really, you're hopeful.
Yes.
You're like, no, man, I know it's difficult, or this is what I want to do,
Yeah.
and there's a belief that it can be done. You haven't really thought it through,
Yes.
but there's a belief that it can be done.
Yeah.
And there's also deniers, and no, I'm not going to face the obvious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's easier to just move.
Just you put
forward.
those two together and move forward.
Yeah.
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 That's what I think it is.
Wow. But anyway, I guess this episode is really not to like dampen people, but to encourage that
Yeah.
the journey is hard. There's no doubts about it. The journey is hard, and you definitely do need help. But your dreams, the dreams are valid. The needs that you have are valid, and we hope that the information that we put out does help to show you that you do have options. Maybe some options that are out there, not options that you can hold. But you do have options. You can keep going, and that's
Yeah.
basically it.
Yeah.
Like,
Like
just
you said.
take a pause.
Yeah.
How are you doing? What is it that you can? How is it that you can? How is it that you can get an open mind about your situation? How is it when it's difficult? How is it that you can look at it differently? How is it that you can do that so that you keep going?
Yeah.
Because what you're doing is important. Building a home is important.
Very
Building a space for you to have a safe space for your family,
A
place.
space that you can call your own.
Exactly. Nobody tells you what to do in your own space, and
Yeah.
so it's really important, and it is a hard journey, and I wanted to acknowledge that. And just keep on.
Exactly.
Yeah.
That's the point. Keep on.
Yes.
That's the episode for today. Keep on.
Let's keep on, and like we are doing,
Yeah.
we're keeping on.
They have no idea, but yeah, we're keeping on.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anything
You
else
have no. You had the what are you listening to?
Oh, so I have a playlist I call Abstract, and it's one that I like to listen to when I'm making art. It helps me, and there's a lot of jazz. So especially when things are a bit hectic,
Give us some names. 2 names. 2 or 3 names.
2, 3 names. There's Christian Scott. Yeah, I like him a lot.
She never used to, by the way. Let me just say that. But anyway.
Yeah, but there's one that's really funky, like Of a New Cool. That one is really good.
But anyway, I said she never used to because she thought he was arrogant.
Yeah, but
He does come out. He does, when you watch him, but not his music brilliant, but
brilliant,
he
yeah.
can come out to be like, oh, but yeah.
Yeah. So there's a song that I like. It's jazz, and it's modern jazz, and it's by an artist called Alpha Mist,
Okay.
and it's called Keep On.
I didn't even know. I had no idea. Have you seen how the universe has just worked this thing out? Brilliant.
Yeah. So Keep On by Alpha Mist. I really enjoy that. So yeah, just keep on.
Yeah, keep on.
Yeah. So that's it for this episode. Stay encouraged and keep on. An Architect and the DJ Build a Home podcast has been brought to you by Emote Projects Limited. The show is hosted by Kalenga, he's the DJ, and me, Mphangela, I'm the architect. Media by Monkey Business Agency. Music by Bless the Creative.